everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I've got a DIY Cricut Easy Golf Bag gift box to show you. This is made with an SVG file from MyScrapChick, and if you don't know MyScrapChick yet, you need to go check them out. They have some great files like this one. I enjoyed this one specifically because it is very masculine, and it's hard to find some men's gifts sometimes to make that they will like and are fun to put together. So this is a perfect project. I wanted to show you how it all went together. I did show this in my hot video last week, and here I'm just pointing out that I got a little bit of the paper stuck on my mat when I pulled it off, but it won't matter really because it won't show inside the box. Now this is the main piece. It is the actual primary box piece, and to start with I'm just going to simply fold and score, press on the score lines actually, everywhere that the score lines were put in. Now I used my Cricut to do this, of course. I have a Cricut Explorer. It's not even the Air or the Air 2 or anything. It's just the first original Explorer. So you know, if you just have the Explorer, this is no problem. Many of you may or may not know that the real trick to this is buying files that are SVG. In other words, they are .svg files, and most companies are offering SVG files for paper cutting if that's what they're selling. And in the last, I guess, few years, Cricut has been allowing their machines to accept SVG files rather than the proprietary files that Cricut used to make through their cartridges. And that used to be the only way you could get any images to use on your Cricut. So it's been a great improvement to have the flexibility to go to third-party designers and companies to pick up files like these that maybe they just don't have anything quite like that on the Cricut site. Alright, so you can see I put this box together. It was pretty simple. And now we have these tabs at the bottom. These are going to be the support tabs for the bottom of the box. So I'm just going to open this up, and then I'm going to apply wet glue to them, and then I'll be able to put that bottom into the box itself. There are two pieces for the bottom, one that goes on the inside and one that goes on the outside, and these give extra strength to the bottom and also set the shape of the box. This box is six-sided, and it forms a, you know, kind of that bag, golf bag shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the box bottom that goes on the inside. It's just simpler that way. And so I've put the glue, as you saw, on the inside tabs, or on the wrong side of the pattern paper. And then I'm going to just drop this bottom in with the pattern side up so that when you look in the box you can see that pretty pattern at the bottom. And I'm just going to secure that by pushing it down around those tabs, and once I feel like that's in good shape, we'll turn it over here and you can see how that just formed the box shape. And now I can apply the outside, which is going to cover up all those tabs and give it a nice finished look. It also again serves as extra reinforcement for that box bottom, so you can fill it up with goodies and not worry about it breaking. So that's a very good thing. This is kind of a longer video, but I wanted to show you step by step without, you know, speeding up my camera footage really fast so that you could really see how this actually comes together. I hope you'll find that the instructions I'm giving you here will be helpful if you choose to try this box yourself. These two pieces form the large pockets that hang on the sides of the golf bag. There's a small one, this one that I'm working on here, and a larger one. So I'm going to show you how I put together the smaller. The large one is exactly the same way, and you really just start by folding all the score lines and pressing down on them, creasing them down so that you have some nice crisp folds. There's several different folds once you get them in place, including that double fold there where the flap is. You can then pay attention to this side flap. Now this is the most complicated of all the folds you need to do, and it's really not that bad. The folds in this area create the gusset of the bag. So you start by folding the patterned paper in upon itself, and then those diagonal score lines are just lightly pressed in to sort of train the paper to collapse a little bit right there. Let's look at it again. I'm going to fold this pattern to pattern in the middle there, pressing most strongly at the top of the bag, and then I'm going to fold these diagonal lines, kind of just training them in again so that they will fold that way naturally when you get the bag put together. Now I'm going to be able to glue this together so we form the actual bag. And again, I use wet glue. I'd recommend wet glue with this kind of project. I use the art glitter glue. It's great, it's very strong, but the advantage of the wet glue is that you can move your piece around a little bit, make sure that it's straight, that the edges match and all of that before it finally sets. And glitter glue sets pretty quickly, so you don't have to sit around and wait for it to dry too long. It is, you know, gives you a few seconds, but it's not going to be wet for a long amount of time. Now I did the bottom box folds together out of camera range, so I'm going to show you the bigger bag and how I did that. But you see how that little flap tucks in? It's so cute. Love it. Alright, so here's that bigger box and here's the bottom. You fold in the sides and then the top, and then just tuck that little flap in and you've got a perfect gusseted bottom and side. Really neat. And here's a good look at the sides. You see how that gusseting works out with the little diagonal folds at the bottom and the main vertical fold at the top, so it creates, you know, a box bottom there. The most major part of the box is already done. Now we just need to put trim pieces on, and there are 6 on the top and 6 at the bottom. There are 2 pieces like this at the top that are kind of diagonal. They have a diagonal fold. And then there are 4 that are just plain rectangles and they fold in half. And again, all these have the score marks already put in it with the file. It comes right off your Cricut mat, ready to fold and score just like this. And you'll end up again with 6 pieces that you can then glue onto the top of your box, which will give your box a finished edge. You can see here how it's raw edged. You don't really want that in your finished product. But we're going to put the diagonal pieces on the 2 sides where there's a height adjustment being made from the tall back of the bag down to the shorter part of the bag in the front. Again, just like a real golf bag would be. And so I'm just placing these pieces down on top of the edge of the bag so you can kind of see where they go. And you'll want to do that too, just to make sure you have them all in the right place. Now here what I'm going to do is show you how I use my white gel pen just to put in some stitching. I think this really adds a cute touch to this bag and makes it seem even a little bit more authentic. And so I just keep putting the piece next to the piece I've done prior so that I can match up my stitch lines. That way they are not, you know, really oddly different and they don't match up. Here's where that diagonal piece meets a straight piece again. Just make sure that your edge matches for the bottom of the bag, and then that will be your guide again to tell you where to put your dotted lines. Now I'm going to do the bottom pieces as well. These are really simple. They're just simple rectangles. There's no folding or anything involved. There's just 6 of these of exactly the same shape. And I do the same thing with my gel pen here. And I'll just take each piece one after another that's going to go around the box so that I can make sure that my gel stitch lines match up and that there aren't any strange changes from one piece to another. And that way it will look as if it's almost really stitched onto your box. All right, now I'm going to be able to start gluing. So I'm just going to start with one of these pieces. It's one of the little rectangle pieces, fold it in half, apply my wet glue, and then I will need to move out of the way some of these other pieces so I can get a good amount of room and clearance to actually push down the 2 sides and adhere well. So there you go. Really easy, of course, to place. And then I can go ahead and do the next piece. Very same way. I sped this up super fast because there's nothing secret or tricky about this. You just need to apply one piece after the other. To set your glue, just use your fingers to make sure that it's all level and everything is lining up. Now here's a good view of that diagonal piece, again being two of these where they transition from the taller back of the box to the shorter front of the box. And then you go right back to using these rectangle pieces. So you can see how that looks. Now here's the second diagonal piece. And hopefully that helps you understand for sure what I'm talking about. Nothing complicated. Again, you just need to know where those two pieces go. The other thing I'll say is that one of the folded rectangles is larger than the rest of them, and they go in the back. That's the very back piece of the box. Okay, so now we've got an even simpler task because we just apply all 6 of these bottom trim pieces that are all identical in size and shape. And they will go on much like the top, where you just line it up to the bottom of the box because it doesn't overlap anything like it does on the top. You don't really need to worry about raw edges since this is the box bottom and the bottom won't be seen. And even if you do tip it over, you have the nice finished bottom piece with the pattern paper, so it's really good. Whereas on the top, you really needed to have the trim not only be on the outside but the inside to cover up the raw edge of that original box form and make it very finished. So I hope you're seeing how pretty simple this construction is, and yet it's so cleverly done. It looks a lot more complicated and time consuming than it really is, to be completely honest with you. I was so surprised when I put this together and so happy that it was so simple and straightforward, really. Alright, so that's the last piece of the trim, and you can see now with the stitching how that makes the whole piece seem like it's one, and yet by using the individual pieces you can get that nice crisp turn at each angle, and looks great. Now I can turn my attention again back to the 2 pockets that go on this bag. There's a large one and a small one, if you remember, and there are 2 little pieces for each bag that are the trim and kind of dress up these little pockets. So each pocket has a flap trim piece and then also just a rectangle piece that goes on the main part to add a little more, again, pattern and interest to these little bags. On the flaps, I will take the white gel pen and go all the way around the piece, and I'll also do the same on the rectangles. And once those are done, I can go ahead and apply wet glue like you're seeing here and just place it on the pocket. This kind of detail is what really gives the illusion that these are actual pockets hanging off the bag and just makes it so super cute. I love this file and love the overall look with all these details. It's just so hard to find something fun to make for the guy in your life that they will enjoy as well, and this is perfect. Now here's the flap trim piece, and it also has that fold at the very top so it can fit around the fold in the original box form there, and I think that's a really cute touch as well. Now these pockets are strong and there's room at the bottom. You could put a few little things in these. I guess I was thinking golf tees would work really well, or your ball markers could go in here if you were going to actually put together some golfing items in this little treat box. Some small candies would also work. And here are the 2 boxes with the trim pieces placed. Now I'm going to take a couple brads out and I'm going to put them in the tips of these flaps. It will give the illusion like there's a snap that will be the closure mechanism for the flap of the pocket. And so I just marked that with my white gel pen so I can get it reasonably in the center, because I'm not very good at it, just eyeing it for some reason. I got to do that. And I'll go ahead and push down the inside flaps of the brad there so that they are secure. And I will use my bone folding tool to just press it down so that it's really down as tight as I can make it so it doesn't move around. It's not a big deal, I guess, if it did move around, but I just like to, press it down hard enough so that wherever I put it, it stays. All right, so this is a clever little piece as well. This is the handle, believe it or not. There are score lines on each side. And all you have to do is make sure you fold over the score lines and push hard to crease them. And then I also like to flip this over and press again with the flaps down just to make sure that the crease lines are very crisp and as sharp as you can make them. Once that's done, you can apply your wet glue on each of the creases and press down again using your bone folder just to make sure that you get a good strong bond, because those little side pieces aren't very large, so you just want to make sure you have a good adhesion so they don't release later. Now I'm going to take this piece and run it through my fingers to begin to train it to have a little bit of a curve. So by running it through it, it's curling it. And then that is going to make folding it over to create the handle really natural, and it won't put in any odd lines or creases in this handle. So you can see there it curved it. It's trained, as they say in the world of paper crafting. And it's ready now for me to mark and punch, because I'm going to use another brad to hold this handle together and also secure it to the bigger bag itself, the main bag. So there you go. I've marked where I want to put my hole punch. And as you can see, this is a small hole punch. It's the right size for a mini brad. There are usually 2 hole punches that you will see in a store, say like a Michael's or whatever. One is a larger one and one is a small one. The larger one is usually for the large brad and the smaller one for the mini brads. Now I'm marking the back panel of the box. This is the highest piece of the box, and I marked it with my gel pen in the middle, basically what I envision to be the middle, just eyeing it. I'm not measuring that. And then I'll go ahead and put my handle there and make the mark with my white gel pen again so I can see where I should punch my hole. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and this way then the handle can be flush. The top of the handle will be flush with the top of the box. All right, so I'm going to put that brad through the handle and then through the box and press that over. And there you go. That's all it takes to get your handle on. Isn't that cute? Love it. Now you could also use your white gel pen on that before you apply it to your box and put in stitches. In some of my boxes I've made, I've done that, and others I haven't. It's really up to you. Now here is the largest of the pockets that I made, and it goes on the front of the box. And I will just use wet glue again and manipulate that, press it around, move it around a little bit with my fingers to get it exactly on the middle of that panel. And then press the bag part and the pocket together until it adheres really well. You just have to wait a little bit, give it a little time, because again, the wet glue will set pretty quick. But the advantage is you can move it around a while, and that's huge, at least for me, because a lot of times I don't get it exactly on correctly at first, and I have to manipulate it or, slide it around just slightly. Now here's the smaller one. It goes underneath the handle, and the reason, of course, is because the handle takes up some real estate there on the box, and a bigger pocket just wouldn't work very well there. It would interfere with the handle too much. So we'll do it the same way, applying it with wet glue, letting it set, pressing and pressing, not very hard, but still enough for the glue to adhere the 2 pieces that you're trying to put together there. At this point, you've completed your box, and you could give it this way just as it is. Now I wanted to point out you can tuck your flap in the pocket. There's a slit that allows for that in case you'd like to do that instead of the brad. Alright, now here's the finishing touch. It's a flag that you can cut. It's in the file, and then you just fold it over and glue it over the top or around a dowel. I painted this dowel white and I like the way that looks. Now for the inside, I'm going to get a little lift by taking a piece of tissue paper here and crinkling it up, putting it at the bottom of my box, and then I'll be able to put my treats inside. First though, I'm going to put a little bit of this decorative shred. This is paper shred, which I buy from the Dollar Tree. A little bit of shred goes a really long way, so these small bags are great. You can get lots of colors and it doesn't take a huge amount of room in your craft space. So I've got a pretty good start to the shred that I want to put in this box. I'm going to add now my treats. This one is full of Russell Stover treats. I put a few of the pieces of shred in there, wrapped it up with a couple pieces of ribbon and some twine, and then I can go ahead and tuck that into my box. It fits just perfectly. Now you could put lots of different things in this box. I think a few golf balls would be cute, and say a gift certificate to their favorite golf course, maybe for a round of golf or something in the store there. And then I'm going to place the flag in the back, which is really a cute little finishing touch. And I also chose to use one of the tags that comes in a separate file from MyScrapChick. They are circular sentiment tags like this, and they all are golfing terms or puns on golfing, like this for you. Very cute, and you could use it for a lot of different things throughout the year that you're giving your golfer. Well, that finishes my box. Please make sure you go to MyScrapChick and pick this file up if you'd like to try this yourself. And if you do, please let me know if this video helped you out. Well, once again, thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate you visiting, and I've put up here the link to subscribe to my channel and also to a couple more videos that I think you might be interested in seeing if you like this one. So I hope to see you back soon, but until then, keep crafting. Bye!